before I actually posted it on my Instagram, and this is what I got. So I turned the image upside down, flipped it, and put it together, and you can clearly see the Baphomet figure, or the goat head and the horns, in the middle when you mirror these two portraits together. And it's funny that they used red, because red symbolizes low states of consciousness. It's the lowest vibrational color. It symbolizes emotion over the mind, the lower self. So let me know what you guys think. Is this a coincidence?
This was a time in history where you got to throw out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals baseball game, while Americans were forced to stay home and watch such events that they love from at home alone on their televisions. And what a hypocrisy this picture shows. Here you are without your mask, with empty seats everywhere. Remember the cardboard cutout fans? That was one of the most insulting things to Americans, having to watch the games from home, where you got to go and enjoy the game and sit right next to people not following the 6 feet of distancing, not wearing your mask, and everyone else was forced to stay home and stop enjoying life.
Guess what? You're not going to, maybe you will believe this. House GOP bill would give benefits to Americans in the Israeli army. The legislation would grant IDF soldiers the same protections as U.S. military personnel while they're on active duty. Hey, but what about American idiots fighting in Ukraine? Will they receive benefits? How about that? I don't know. Is this amazing? Yeah. GOP, baby. F the Americans living under bridges. They had their chance. Now it's a foreign country's turn. That's what this is. That's right. Your tax dollars not only fund the weapons, but the retirement funds for all the genocidal psychopathic snipers who like killing moms because they're slower. All right, here's a little bit of the story. A bill introduced in the House by Representative Guy Reschenthaler, oh boy, and Max Miller would extend certain benefits for Americans serving in the U.S. military to American citizens in the Israeli military. The legislation, introduced on May 17th, would give Americans in the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, protections under the Service Member Civil Relief Act and Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, or the SCRA protects U.S. service members from civil legal actions while they're on active duty and for up to a year after. So if you go commit crimes, that's what they're saying. You can't. Is that what this is?
That's what this
is. Is that what this is? Is that what civil legal actions while they're on active duty? Is that what this is?
When the crimes come out like they did with the other thing.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay. This act protects the civilian employment of active and reserve military personnel so they also can't lose their jobs. So if you get called up for duty and you're an American, you can't lose your job for that. So they're saying if you're an American and you go fight for Israel, you can't lose your job. Your employer can't get rid of you.
Was that old man that would try to give you a guilt trip like it's a veteran of your country that fought in Israel?
Over 20,000 American citizens are currently defending Israel. Really, they're risking their lives for the betterment of our ally, said this Russian chancellor. He said in a statement, "Are you kidding me? Wow, we're even funding private military contractors like mercenaries. That's what we're doing."
Well, we always are. I mean, look, it's all... The main thing I didn't realize when I was first looking at this, Jimmy, was the thing about the protection from legal action.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how central that is. Because, look, it's all the same money.
Yeah. Shouldn't Israel be paying for this? Because it's just our money anyway.
Yeah, it's like the same as like, hey, these are Chuck E. Cheese tokens we give out. They have to spend them here. Don't worry about
that's
it.
Right.
Yeah.
The Washington Post reported in February that an estimated 23,380 American citizens are serving in the Israeli military. Many are dual citizens who are already living in Israel. But first of all, dual citizenship is the biggest garbage I've ever heard in my life. I'm against dual citizenship. I don't know how you feel about it, Kurt, but I'm against it. How can you have loyalty to two different countries?
Usually it's for like work reasons, like to be able to work somewhere. Like some countries have Canada, when I used to
Why is it almost all the people? Anyway, a huge number of people who work for the FDA have dual citizenships with Israel. Did you know that? All right, back to this. But as of November 2023, about 10,000 people living in the United States had traveled to Israel to report for duty with the IDF after receiving draft notices. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know you could get drafted in. That's interesting.
According to Responsible Statecraft, 21 American citizens serving in the IDF have been killed in Gaza, and one was killed in northern Israel near the Lebanon border. Reichenthaler said his legislation will ensure we do everything possible to support these heroes who are standing with Israel fighting for freedom and slaughtering children and targeting systematically innocent people. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, they're combating terrorism in the Middle East.
I mean, let's face it, that's all our conflicts, aren't they?
Yes. It's unclear what the chances are for Reichenthaler's bill to pass Congress and become law, but there is strong support for the Israeli military among House Republicans. For example, Representative Brian Mast, a Republican of Florida, is an IDF veteran who recently wore his Israeli uniform on Capitol Hill. Did you see that? This representative from Florida, an American congressperson, wore his IDF uniform on Capitol Hill, and he did not receive any backlash from his colleagues for showing up to work in the House wearing a uniform of a foreign country.
Okay, but he's from Florida, right? So I'm guessing it's a section where that's a significant voting block. That actually makes more sense to me than waving Ukraine flags. Do you know what I mean? Because Florida, okay, he's going to get where he lives in Florida or whatever. I'm assuming Boca Raton or something.
So here is Representative Brian Mast. He tweets out, as the only member to serve with both the United States Army and the Israeli Defense Forces, I will always stand with Israel. Talib's got her flag. I got my uniform. Global Day of Rage, my ass. There he is. Republicans have introduced a slew of pro-Israel legislation over the past few months to show staunch support for the Israeli slaughter of Palestinians in Gaza, including bills to impose harsh punishments on college protesters. One bill introduced by Representative Andy Ogles would send protesters to Gaza. Dennis Kucinich, he says no one should be entitled to any U.S. military service benefits unless they are fighting under U.S. command and control. Mr. Miller has lost sight of who he was elected to Congress to represent.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did. He knows exactly.
He knows exactly who.
He knows exactly who he sent to Congress to represent.
Yeah.
Ron Paul says 2 Republican U.S. representatives have submitted a bill that would extend the same benefits provided to U.S. military service members and veterans to American citizens who chose to serve in the Israeli military. This is at a time when the U.S. veterans find themselves out in the cold when it comes to getting the care and benefits that they were promised.
Yeah, I know. What are they going to get screwed over like American veterans, I hope? If we're giving them the same...
Ron Paul makes the good point that we shouldn't be upset about this because the U.S. soldiers serving in the IDF won't ever actually receive their benefits. I bet they do.
Yeah,
I bet the ones.
Be another Walter Reed scandal.
I bet the ones serving in the Israeli army are the ones who are going to get their benefits, and not the ones who serve in the United States Army.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh God, there was a great line there. What did he say? He says, I can't remember now. Anyways, I find it. Welcome to the Loosh farm for those that are here and those who will be here. I see that the man, Dogman Teepee Hunting, his channel is growing. Man, last time we had a show, was it January?
Yeah, January now. Yeah.
You didn't have one. You didn't have 1,000 subs back then.
No, I had I think it was about 400, 500, I think now.
Hey, what's going on, Sasquatch, Southwest Europe? How's Portugal?
Here, Mike.
Yes.
Was that Bill Gates?
My friend, my English Jewish friend, which I think is fantastic. The irony is so funny. It is so fun. I love it.
Yeah.
It is just, but it's like, so isn't it as fascinating as that?
Was that Bill Gates getting a face full of milkshake?
Yeah, well, who else deserved it, man?
It was just weird because I went downstairs, make a cup of tea, bring up, yeah, and as I was, my other half said to me, "Oh, have you heard the news?" I was like, "No." Then Nigel Farage has just been had a face full of milkshake as well. Must be a thing about milkshakes.
He had a pie. He had a cream pie thrown in his face. And this is all about when he was I guess it had to do with Microsoft and then whatever thievery he was doing back then that pissed off all the people in the IT world.
Reptilian alien. That's what he is.
You can't accuse Bill Gates of being a Jew, a Zionist. He's probably a Zionist, but he's not Jewish because not all billionaires are Jewish. Not all evil billionaires are Jewish. Some are Roman Catholic, and he's the funny thing is if you get a chance to read one of the most boring biographies ever written or autobiographies is Mel Gates, in which he talks about how Mel and Bill had an arranged marriage in which some Roman Catholic nuns and New Orleans arranged their marriage.
Some Roman Catholic nuns.
Let's go in short note, Carrie. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Some Roman Catholic nuns arranged whose marriage again?
Bill Gates and Mel's. Melinda. We call him Mel. In the States, we call him Mel. I mean, her. I mean, I always get those pronouns wrong, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. We're having fun. We're going to be talking about some of the stuff you're doing.
Stuff. Yeah, just stuff.
But it is all connected because, Phil is in the British Isles, and he lives in a place where I actually spent some time. And
very exotic place.
Yes, well, for a guy from Ohio, it is. Because you guys got like these super narrow roads, and you drive on the wrong side of the road.
No. You drive along the side of the road. You
eat that fish and chip stuff. What the hell's that, man? I just
cups of tea.
It's coming here, folks. It's all coming here. I'm gonna tell you one thing. If it wasn't for the Packies, English wouldn't have any diversity of food. It'd all be fish and chips.
Yeah. We do have pizza though. Got the Italians.
Well, we tried. You still haven't really embraced the American pizza. Chicago pizza, you're still not quite there yet.
Oh, we got Five Guys now. We've had Five Guys for quite some time. With Five Guys, when you're waiting for a burger, and they got a big tub of peanuts with the shells on, and you just kind of like stand there, and you kind of like just picking the shells off the peanuts to eat while you're waiting. Massive, great tub. What's that about?
Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot's with us. Cheers, everyone. On coffee break work. Good. And we also got Short Oats Carrie again. He dries on a good side. That's awesome. Oh, yeah, it's good. So we got some from Australia here. Just wait. Okay, I didn't realize Short Oats Carrie you from there. Is this maybe one of your followers? The thing is.
I'll tell you something.
There's one thing that's good about the British culture, and that's roundabouts. If it wasn't, that's the one thing. Thank God. In America, everywhere you go, there's a freaking stoplight. I mean, it just drives you freaking nuts. And the stop sign, stoplight. If we just had roundabouts like the Brits, you know what? Our lives would be so much easier.
I think it'd be quicker. Yeah, it'd be quicker.
You know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, but I only feel like I used to live not very far away from Lakenheath Base and Mildenhall Base, and
only
yeah,
you
so,
guys are against all the world.
Yeah, right. And
Well, you talking about the Americans? Or you're talking about the Brits? Or you talking about
the Americans? Because they bring the bring the vehicles over when they're overtaking.
Hey, you're the guys who have the largest empire in the world. We're trying to do that. We can't get our shit together. We can't seem to beat anybody. We see like. Except college students, we're pretty good at beating college students. America has been dumbed down to the point that we need science. So that's what Tennessee, Kentucky, because we're so dumbed down, we need science. It's true. We got to have a sign for every fucking thing. It's like. We had like signs with like an arrow that's pointing straight, so just so you know you're going straight. Oh, it's great. Oh god!
I think it was the Americans that started the lane departure warning system as well, didn't they? On cars. Yeah.
What else? What else did we screw up? We have we got
every country's had its good chance of screwing up, and every country's had its chance of screwing up, and it has really, and then run away quickly.
Let's look at Israel. Israel is doing a hell of a bang of a job, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like well, see, we could fight conventional wars, or we'll just. I know what we'll do. We'll just attack women and children. We'll just mow the carpet there, or just wipe out everybody. It's not really something to be funny to laugh about, except that if it wasn't so damn absurd. I mean, it is absolutely. And the thing is, we could say, "Oh, look how terrible Israel is," but hey, listen, I can't say anything because our government's like, here's the bombs. Here, we got lots of bombs for you to take them all. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what else to do with them. So you know what I mean? It's just crazy. But I know.
I heard somewhere that Israel's got the. I mean, their Mossad is like second to none. And also, I think it's the Air Force. They've got the second biggest Air Force, isn't it? Right, in the world.
I wouldn't be surprised. They should have the largest one. After all, they use the United States Air Force. Is what they do.
Yeah.
It's funny when the Iranians decided to do that fireworks show and send a whole bunch of drones and bottle rockets over there. It was primarily British and American planes that were shooting them down. So. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, folks, whether we can say what we want, but this Anglo-American Zionist movement, we're all in bed together. So and they design it in such a way so they go, it's the Jews, no, it's the Americans, no, it's the Brits, no, it's all of us. They're all going crazy. But by the way, the motto from Mossad is fascinating. So, by way of deception, thou shalt do war.
Okay, the first is the United States Air Force, the largest. Second, Russian Air Force. Third, People's Republic of China. Get this, right? See that you're lucky that I'm on the show. Right? Indian Air Force. Yeah, they're the fourth largest. Now, who would you think would be the fifth? Have a guess. Who would you think would be the fifth largest Air Force? With a total of 1,062 aircraft.
I don't know. Let me take a guess.
If I said Egyptian.
Well, give me like three choices.
Yeah, I've given you Egyptian.
Well, yeah, well, Egypt. Who owns Egypt? Who rules Egypt? The United States, Britain, and Israel. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
It's true. I'm not making it up. I mean, it's like everyone's turned out to be our bitches. So, yeah, it's funny. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says Iran has the largest air force, but it's straight out of the Antique Roadshow.
Yeah.
Probably everyone thinks we're like super racist, but I mean, I at this point, after the shit show that we've all witnessed, especially in the States, with the clown show thing, with the Trump trial and everything else, and and the liberals are taking down Alex Jones' show. It's like, at this point, it's just. Could somebody please give us a break? Please, because what happened to the good old days? The good old days when all this. You remember? Does anybody remember what it was like 10 years ago? Even 9/11 and 4 years ago, it was still a better time than it was now. It just
no, they were missiles. They weren't planes. They weren't planes. They were missiles.
What?
They were missiles. No windows on them.
You've
not heard of that one. You've heard of that one, Mike. You've heard of that one.
I've heard everything from their missiles to their CGI. That I've heard everything.
Yeah, missile. No windows on those planes, evidently. Yeah, and they were taken away dead quick. So it was not a case of like kind of I know there wasn't a lot of plane left, but any remains of the plane taken away so quick. Boom, that's it, gone.
Well, that's the MO, right? Especially when you don't want to get caught, especially when you're the ones responsible for doing it, because it was an inside job, which is funny. Because if you guys study it, which I did a live about this as well on the channel. And if you pay attention to what happened October 6th or October 7th. 7th, right? It was a total 100% inside job, just like 9/11, and everyone knew what was going on, and it was a justification to finish the job. And here's the thing, folks. Here's the other thing. This is one of the things I want to talk to you about too, because you're there, and one of the things I discovered, folks. Let me share this. We will be talking about Bigfoot at some point. So I did this ancestry thing, because like I wanted to find out about my ancestry, right? What's my background, right? Because I was like, one of the things I was always told is there's a lot of Cherokee and Ojibwe blood in me, and maybe I still have it. But according to Ancestry, this is what I have, which, by the way, the numbers add up to more than 100%. But it says here, I'm 45% British and Northwestern Europe. This is where
blimey.
22% from Scotland, my genes. 19% Ireland, 9% from Sweden, which I had no idea, and 5% Norway. I know what happened to the Ojibwe and Cherokee blood, but probably, this shit show the way it is, probably not true either. You know what? I would be surprised, Philip, if I'm 100% Jewish. Anyways,
we can be brothers.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun to make. At this point, it's fun just to make fun of all this. That's why I changed the name of my channel to the Loosh Farm, because it's just a big giant shit show at this point. It just is. You know what I mean? It just really is.
Yeah. Well, you've been digging around for a long time now. It would have done my nutting, I must admit. It does my nutting sometimes, the amount of digging around I do inside teepees.
We still haven't figured out who's actually making those damn teepees. No one knows who's made those damn teepees. But anyways, this whole thing is going on right now in the States, right? And in North America is like, and there's endless reports. So we got the Hebrew Immigration something association or whatever agency, whatever it is. Of course, then there's Catholic ones too. And so, but those they have made almost $1 trillion off the illegal immigration across the southern border and northern border of the United States, right? And you guys have something similar going on in Britain with all these people.
Tell me about it. Tell me about
it.
I
wanted to talk about it because first I want to say on our side of things, if it's true, they're saying there's rumors out there that 1 out of 6 people now, since Joe Blow Dynamo Biden showed up. Or of course, we want to blame them. Our presidents are really just fall guys. They're just props. They just here, But if anything, Biden has proved that there's no such thing as the president doesn't do shit. They just you might as well. You just get some old, the comatose old man.
It's the people behind the president,
right? So, but 1 out of 6 people apparently. And especially after the past 4 years, has ramped up so much, millions upon millions. 1 out of 6 people in the United States now are illegal aliens. So we're talking anywhere from 30 to 45 million people, if the high number is right. That's 1 out of 6, and it's really not funny because if you start paying attention, this is the same stuff that's going on, and it seems like. In Canada, in Australia, and in Britain, 1 out of 3 people in Ireland are foreigners at this point, foreign born. And I know this immigration thing is part of our thing and all that kind of stuff, right? But this is getting a little out of hand, right?
But you look back at history and the amount of mass migration that has been going on. Throughout history, it's always happened. It's nothing new. It's just the case that, now we have, we have things like in the UK, social security payments, which they kind of are coming over. Maybe so they're using the hospitals, they're using the doctors, they're using the medical desks, they're utilizing facilities and not actually paying. That's where the crux comes in. That's where but we've always had mass migration, Mike. Always.
Well, that's always. If you study the Roman Empire, it's always been this way. Every time the empire goes and invades another country or whatever, an empire or whatever, one of the very first strategies to do is they start relocating the people that they invaded into the empire so that they get assimilated, become part of the empire. So they, you know what I mean? That's part of the strategy. The other thing is too, so they claim that, in the West, we don't have high enough birth rate, right? So we need to be replaced with these foreigners, right? Because I think that's BS. Because if they'd known that we haven't had a high enough birth rate and they knew it was an issue, but they kept on doing it anyways to us because they want to replace us. They want to replace us with other people that, for whatever reason, is it because they're going to be willing to work for less, or they're going to be willing to?
All the E numbers and the microplastics, everything's in plastics, all microplastics. That's it, sending everyone fertile. Not that I'm a conspiracy head, but I am.
Well, I think what's happening, we're all being turned into gay frogs.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the French now. I'm talking about. The amphibious type, man.
The happy people.
Southwest Europe says, not by the millions. Migration never was like that. If it was every country in Europe didn't have their unique genes. That's true, and it's happening throughout all Europe, isn't it? He's in Portugal. And it's everywhere. It doesn't matter. It could be English speaking, Spanish, Portuguese speaking. Yeah. It's happening all over, and they're doing it deliberately to us. And we could be upset and angry at the folks that have been dislocated from the mowing of the lawn and they plan on that. What the plan is, whoever's left after whoever's alive after this year in Gaza. And the West Bank, guess where they're coming? Welcome to America.
One thing that gets me, so I'll tell you one thing that gets me, right, is that I can't understand that, like, they come across here on the channel, right? They come across on boats, which is fair enough. Now, I understand that, you know, they're mitigating circumstances where they're leaving a country which is like kind of, you know, war torn, or, you know, they're just like kind of kicked in the teeth so much that, oh yeah, let's just go, let's cross the channel. The French want to kick them out. The French don't want to know. They're like, yeah, go on, and go, off you go. They actually hand them the boat. I've seen them, you know what I mean, on the news. You can see the French blowing up the dinghies for them, and that kind of, they come
I just pictured all these French with their berets blowing up. That's
then it
what
costs us thousands, Mike, thousands and thousands of pounds, either on putting them up or sending them off. I think we're going to send them off, yeah, to another country. It'll cost us thousands of pounds each person, and then give them money to set up. Which I can understand that. That's fine. You've got to give them a bit. You can't just like kind of ship them off. But right at the source, why we can't say, look, you know, let's organize it a bit more better. You know, let's kind of like,
not for the peasants. What are you talking about? You guys are the peasants. What are you talking about? The peasants, and there's no organizing for the peasants. And the peasants start organizing. That's when the police come out, and their riot gear. I mean, their SWAT gear. I mean, their military gear, and then they beat the living hell out of you. You know what I mean? There's no organizing. If there's anything that we've learned over the past 4 years, and it's, well, unless they want you to organize, if you BLM, then of course maybe BLM, you can burn down that city. It's all right, man. You can rob into every shop and you know, rape and pillage is all great because that's fantastic. But if you're like, say what's going on at the Free Palestine protest, right? It's just fascinating watching that and how it's just a crackdown, and it's like, and guess who made the call? Netanyahu in the United States. And by the way, folks, guess who's going to be giving, who's going to address the Congress and the Senate in 10 days, 9 days? Netanyahu. It's not Biden. It's not an American-born citizen. Netanyahu is coming to America, and it's going to address Congress and the Senate. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so I'm just telling the way things are. If you pro, against, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day, this is what's happening. This is the reorganization, or the unveiling. And we've been talking for a long time about you know, the veil being lifted and this new awakening of what the world, how the world's really run. Well, we're seeing it right before our eyes. This past 18 months, if you're paying attention, you would realize that who's in charge of our countries at this point.
50% population, yeah. Sorry, Mike, I was just reading that from Sasquatch, Southwest Europe, yeah.
The Portuguese. Hola.
Yeah, yeah. It's talking about the immigrant, yeah.
Yeah, he is a criminal, but you know what? It doesn't matter because he's just doing what his masters are doing, because Netanyahu could never be in power unless the people around him allowed him to be in power. He's just another spokesman. He's a great tyrant. He's a great dictator. Isn't he? He does a better job than Zelensky. I mean, Zelensky, I don't know. Anybody, why did, still, to this day, I can't figure out, of all the people that they would choose to be to run the latest dystopic nightmare called the Ukraine, would be some dude running around naked and pounding on the piano keys of his pecker. You think they would choose anything else about that? But no, listen, we're going to get this. Oh, you know that guy who likes to dress up and drag and his little. You know that guy who likes to dress up in leather and run around and bang on the piano with his pee-pee. He's perfect to be the president. Let's make him president. Hey, come on, we are living. I mean, it's happening across the board. It's like there was a time it's an illusion, but at least they did a better job of the illusion. They gave us presidents and prime ministers and all that. It almost seemed like the.
And go back to the old days where you could have an actor as a president.
Well, at least they're A actors. You know, they weren't. You know, yeah. You know, they've run out of actors that freaking going to the community college and saying, "Hey, anybody want to be a president for a day or a year?" Or
you know, I'd love to see. You remember that video, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, where it had Reagan fighting Gorbachev? Was it Gorbachev? Might have been Gorbachev. Anyway, and they were fighting in a ring. Do you remember that video? Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Two Tribes. You don't remember it, do you? I'm alone
well,
here.
I know the band Frankie Goes to Hollywood, which is a great band, by the way.
Yeah, you seen the video? Remember that video? Where they were like,
isn't he? You know, it's funny because I'm like, when you start paying attention to what's going on, you're like, dude, how is it like 0.0% of the world's population is in everything? You guys, you're like the masters of like infiltration or whatever. You don't even have to try it. Just like it's in your genes. It's just like, I mean, seriously. I mean, everywhere you go, every major podcaster is a Jew. The ADL, or not the ADL, that's the APAC. I mean, they're the brag. So you know what? If they got like almost 100% success rate as far as any politician that they finance ends up becoming a congressman or woman or a senator or a president. Even Biden says. But the thing is, just to remind you guys, that Zionism is not strictly Jewish, because in America, there are almost there's at least 70 million Christian Zionists. There are more vapid and more crazier than the Jewish ones. I guarantee you, if those ones were given a chance to, I mean, talk about mowing the lawn, I think they what they want to do is nuke the whole damn place. And make sure that the end of the world shows up, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a great song. Relax. It's Frank. Yeah, Frank goes.
No, not that one. Two tribes go to war. You can. Well, yeah, that one. You know, but they're fighting in the ring. Everyone's going, yeah, go on, smash his face in, go on, like that. Oh, you got to watch the video. It's really good. I'd love to see that in real life. That'd be brilliant. Yeah.
What's up, Paranormal Walks? Good evening to yourself. If it's evening, that must mean you must be in Britain. Yeah. Or close to it, maybe Portugal.
How you doing, Stu? Hey,
the Dragon Bone here.
Good
anyway,
I like it.
We spent all this time farting around. I appreciate you doing that. I need a good laugh. I need to decompress. It's been super intense. I have totally not. I totally not.
We may not be here. We might all be blown up next week. So.
Hey, listen. If you guys want me to play, if before we get started, I'll play another about what Scott Ritter has to say. You'd be like, he's probably right. We're probably getting blown up. Now you understand what's going on with frickin' Ukraine and what's that place called again? Russia. It's insane. The whole thing is just pure. It's pure madness. I think it's, 1984. If you read that book, it literally, we're watching it. Mind you, I think 1984 was really, he was talking about.
We're living it. We're living it. Mm.
Yeah, we're living it now, but we're living it being back then. He was really talking about what's going on in 1948 when it was published, George Orwell's. But if you look at it today, it's exactly what's going on. Wars in the East, everyone focused on the wars. And then if you look at all the strategies too, the strategy attention and like, I mean, go on Twitter and the number of mangled bodies, kids with their heads blown off, arms blown off in Gaza. And it's like a steady stream of images. And it's not only the Palestinians that are sharing with us, but it's IDF soldiers. They're like, yeah, it's a great idea. Let's just every atrocity that you commit, just make sure you boys and girls just film it and put it up.
But that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. When you look at it, the news is a show. It is, in a way, an entertainment show. The news is.
I think it's.
I remember once. Do you know? Hang on. Do you remember? Right, there was once a very famous news program where the news came on, but there was nothing to report. And do you know what they did? They played Rachmaninoff, I believe, for the whole duration of the news because there was no news.
Well, I know as a kid growing up, there was some show, I think there's no news, there's good news or something like that. It was on PBS. You probably didn't have that, but in the States we had that, which really sucked, by the way. It really was awful. There was these Muppet puppet-like things. No news is good news. And we had to wake up in the morning and this is before, this is before they had like, I don't know, communication between parents and kids. And we were all raised on the television, right? So our parents were the television. I don't know if you guys remember those days. Maybe you're too. Maybe you're not old enough to remember that. But if you're like 40 and over, you probably were raised by the television, right? The telly, and the 4 channels in Britain, which is really shocking that Britain only had 4 channels, but those 4 channels were better than all the 100 channels that we had on the cable. It says something about how screwed up we were, because I mean,
I remember 3 channels, Mike. Had 3 channels, and I think it was about midnight, like clockwork. Every midnight, it would be the national anthem, and then the screen would go down because it was a proper cathode ray, go down to a little dot. The screen would disappear into a little tiny dot, like that. I've been watching the dot for hours.
Like an orb, huh?
Yeah, it was like an orb. Yeah. Those were the days, eh?
Which, by the way, if we were to get into this, you sent me this the writing that you did, and I think you would do a better job reading it. Because you're a little more clever than I am, and B, you have that accent.
No. Don't big me up like that, because people will be so disappointed.
But are you interested? Well, they might be, but still.
Yeah. I can read it out. Yeah. You might have to nudge people though halfway through. I'll read it quite quick anyway. Okay. So
let me find this. This way, maybe I can blow it up or something. I don't know if I can blow it up or not. Well, this is from Phil, and Phil, this is the Evening Engine, and it's the 5th of May, 2024. And it's, I think it might be interesting to lead us into the conversation about what's going on in the woods and around us and in the ether and Bigfoot, Sasquatch, all that kind of stuff.
Right. The story behind this is I woke up on the morning of the 5th of May. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just woke up and I thought, well, and I had this compulsion to write this down. So I wrote it down. I didn't hear any voices in my head. There was no voice in my head at all, but it flowed. It's one of these things where it just flowed. Don't know why, but anyway, this is it. I call it the Everything Engine. Okay, so, and it's my kind of theory on everything. Yeah. It took me 10 minutes to write this, by the way. Right, okay, here we go. Think of a jet engine with time being sucked in through the turbine, then ignited. We live in the ignition. Then time continues out the exhaust, but being that it's a closed loop, like all static electrical attraction, it loops back on itself and time again enters the jet engine. At the exhaust of the engine, the bending of the flows back into the engine like an event horizon on a black hole. It's very bright, a white, which is pure information energy. So you could say black holes are the entry and exit ports of our cosmic engine. Really interestingly, Oumuamua, did I say that right? Oumuamua was the only interstellar body not part of the engine we know that entered the engine and left again. Now, there are infinite flow paths of time, each nearly identical, with carbon matter originally. Okay, right. I'll say that again. Okay. Now, there are infinite flow paths of time, each nearly identical, with carbon matter originally it was formed and contained infinite identical streams. But entropy caused the decoking effect, and carbon forms manifested and had form, but also bounced and jumped around the streams of flow within the engine. So carbon deposits linger from the combustion process as it does in an engine, except the engine powers through gravity without inertial. 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 See, I don't even know what I've written. Without inertial effects. That is to say, we are static in stasis within this engine, with time passing through us again and again at such a rate that the engine is traveling fast enough as to ignore local gravity from lunar bodies. The decoking effect is carbon particles within the flow, which are particles left from previous eons of matter, be that organic life, places, beings. Gene Roddenberry was asked how he got the idea of the shape of the iconic Enterprise spaceship. Evidently, after encounters he had seeing UFOs, he realized the saucer shape and cigar shapes weren't individual sightings of different craft, but he explained they were facets of a much larger craft, so huge as we cannot comprehend. So we live on a planet within a maelstrom of particles, a maelstrom of particle flow, a rapid movie of creation, an entropy, with us knowing the single frame of reality we know and enjoy. Not long now. What has been will be, and its narrative direction of change dictated only by our structural comprehension. Edward B. Titchener understood consciousness in three forms: sensation, images, and affective states, but also affected by previous recumbents of decoking effect carbon deposits landing within our grand frame of existence. But these entities cannot live in our grand frame of existence due to the fact that they have traveled the time flow around the cosmic engine. So passing back through into our frame of existence, they have a velocity of inertia. This really would make them avatars to us and us the same to them, because we are on a slightly different rates of flow within the maelstrom of time tube filaments. Theory of relativity suggests that time is the fourth dimension and works in equal parts with gravity time. I'll say that again. Theory of relativity suggests that time is the fourth dimension and works on equal parts with gravity. Time is known to be bent and slow. The velocity dependent on the size of the body and the gravitational pull as time flows past the body of material in the gravity well. The less the gravity well, the less time slows. The deeper the well, the more time bends around and slows down. So, at frightening speed, the reality we know fits together in tiny string-like filaments, slotting into place with every step we take. Only very rarely with digital cameras at the appropriate ISO and focal length will capture glitches, as we call it, a moment of incorrect filaments placing together. At this moment, we also perceive metallic sounds, as I have in complex carbon areas, forests and woods, will be more challenging for the maelstrom of filament tubes. In these highly dense areas, we also see glimpses of previous recumbents of decoking effect, carbon deposits landing within our grand single frame of existence. in brackets, Dogman and Sasquatch. I can never say that right, but even UFOs slipping in with the reality formation of these interconnecting filament tubes at velocity. For our world, we are in a single frame of existence, and albeit an extremely flexible time frame. Even this can happen when we see enigmatic, exotic creatures like dogmen. They were elusive, strange in walking posture and gait. I believe is because the inertia they have in their flow line coming through is greater than ours, and hence are less incumbent on our frame reality and the gravity it serves in our frame reference. So when, like in the short video of Camberwell Dogman glitches, you clearly see it glitches out of our frame of reality. It is not magic, but it is as it normally moves quicker, it can't help but leaves our frame of reality, our gravity. Leaves our frame of reality. Our gravity has less effect upon the creature's velocity inertia. They come from the time flow, that is, and was again, but probably a carbon firm deposit that jumped out or flew across strands of flow and landed in ours. Sorry about the grammar there. I said it as I wrote it.
It's okay, man. You did a better job than me. So, do you get these images that go along with it by chance?
To be honest with you, I put those images up. I was in North Wales, where it seemed to be all the Welsh had moved out of North Wales because I couldn't find anyone with a strong accent of Welsh up there.
Yeah, well,
I think the natives have moved out, but no, I clumped those pictures together simply because when I kind of wrote this, I wrote it as I said it. Yeah, and
this is a waterfall, right? This is a waterfall.
Yeah, very, very lovely waterfall. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
That was
beautiful country, Wales. That area,
it's gorgeous. I love Wales. If I was going to live anywhere, I'd love to live in Wales. North Wales is so wild, absolutely wild.
So okay, cool.
So I just clumped those pictures together because I thought, they're quite nice pictures to go with this to send off. Not because they had any special meaning.
Well, hello. Okay. That was said Linda Eastburn or whatever her name is. She interviewed me and I interviewed her. Anyways, so let's go into this a little more. Maybe you can bring this down into us commoners thinking.
Yeah.
It's interesting, when you're talking about the engines and the engine and then the et cetera, et cetera. I mean, are we talking about like wormholes, portals type of thing?
No, not really. No. Think of that waterfall that you had up. Okay. We can only see that when we look at it, that portion of water on that waterfall, we'll only see that at any one time. We'll never see the origin of the flow, and we'll never see where it flows to. It'll just be that. And I done that on quite a long exposure, so I got that nice effect. Just to sort of highlight the fact of, look, we'll only see that one bit. Okay, so it's not a portal. We live on that one bit. And that one bit we live on is on a time frame. It's a movie. So basically we're living on, and we don't know any different other than that section, that frame of the movie that we're traveling along with. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And there's lots and lots of these waterfalls around us. And things jump from one to another.
Flows of energy, that kind of thing. Flows of ether.
Yeah. I mean, the event horizon of a black hole is they've said that it is basically information. That's where information is gathered. That's why it's so bright, because it's just basically information. If you could, go to it, it would be all the information that ever was in that event.
Would you say Dave White? Dave White? Who was that?
No. Event Horizon.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, this is interesting. Your perspective on things, and there's a blend between the mechanical and the ethereal and energetic energy.
Because, the way I was.
What is this? Oh, I don't know. What is that word? Mao? What is that?
Anua. Do you remember Anua that came? It was given a Hawaiian name, wasn't it? Anua. What it is, I think it means traveler or distant traveler. It was it wasn't actually an asteroid. It was a body, an interstellar body, which is cigar shaped, that came from beyond the Kuiper Belt, came into our immediate universe. But it was a very odd thing, because as it went through our universe, it had form and direction, but also it had velocity. So it gained velocity without being unduly kind of given velocity by a large body, giving it a gravitational swing. Usually, kind of like with our satellites, when we launch a satellite off and we want it to go to, say, Mars, we will launch it in such a manner that it will be launched towards a large body, so it has a swing to it. And that large body, using the gravity well, will slingshot that satellite. With the Oumuamua, actually, and the funny thing is, with asteroids, if they've got a gaseous internal or an ice internal structure, as they get close to the sun, they will give off a stream of particles of ice particles, of steam almost, because the sun's heating it up. And in so doing, thermodynamics, what will happen is expansion will happen, and that ice being shot out the back as it's being heated up, superheated, melted, will act like a jet engine and will give it velocity. Oumuamua didn't have that. It had velocity, but no one knows where the velocity came from. It had velocity and direction, but the direction wasn't dictated to by any large bodies, gravity basically, from any surrounding bodies.
There's always a contradiction to the theories, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
There's always something that shows up that contradicts what people think they got figured out. We said something about the soul. A lot of us call a reincarnation soul trap matrix that we live in, a giant shit show. It's always constantly teaching you that you don't know jack squat. But you think you do. You're getting closer to it. You're closer to the truth than maybe someone else, but you're still not. Neither one of you are quite there. It's interesting that
nothing could be proved. Nothing could be proved. How can you prove it? We're in it. How can we prove it?
I at this point, I can't answer that question when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Well, the thing is, we're goldfish looking out. So for goldfish, my goldfish downstairs, I've got a biggish tank. It's lovely big goldfish, really nice. SPG, Special Patrol Group. Yeah, you have to watch your fingers when you put the food in because it will just go for you. But I think it must be part piranha. But regardless, does it see me as swimming? Does it see me when it looks out of its tank? Does it see me when I go past and I go into the kitchen or go into the lounge? Does it see me as being underwater? How does it see me? We're that goldfish in our tank looking out. But we're not even looking out. We're just seeing each other. We're just seeing other goldfish. They've got us contained. We're in that a film. We're in that that frame of existence, chugging along in that frame of existence.
Yeah, the screen, the protection, the screen, the movie screen, the scrying mirror, the thing that you and I are talking to right now. It's the same idea, right? I mean, you and I we can talk to each other or communicate, but we can't touch each other. We can't.
No.
You know, if this is the very first time that one of the two of us had this experience, and we never had any other encounter. This is the first time we ever experienced a computer or a computer screen, no other form of technology. How would we interpret it? How could
it is strange though. Hey Mike, don't you find this? You're talking about that. You know, when we grew up with like kind of, I mean, in the UK, we grew up with 3 channels, and then we had 4 channels. And we were kind of like pretty much in a dark age. We're talking about opening up a car bonnet and seeing mostly road. The engine was really quite, you know, kind of sparse. It had no coverings. It just had kind of like no CPUs or black boxes. It was basically a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder engine. You could see the road, you know, kind of like between it. You can't do that now. But regardless, what I'm getting at is we're talking together on this, right? And people are listening to it. I find it odd that we have adopted the digital age really so easily. It's almost like our minds have it took nothing, really not an awful lot at all, for us to naturally adopt to the digital age.
Well, it's not much different than you and I if we were actually physically in the same room together. Because if you think about it, because as you're reading, and talking, I was like trying to see my peripheral vision, right? So we don't even have like 180, you know, left to right, east to west at all. If you really got good, you might have a little bit more, but most of us don't even have 180. And then from north to south, I mean, like north is only about to here above my, that's for most of you, straight, and then bottom is a little bit more. So we don't even have 50% of what, you know, the immediate, you know, visual light that's around us. So we already know that we're told that we're only seeing what, 0.05%. Is that what it is? The visible spectrum?
I don't know how much. I know we're limited to the color spectrum.
It's ridiculously little, whatever it is. It's just
it's ridiculously little, yeah. But I don't think personally.
So basically, what I'm saying is that we're basically walking around basically with although it's because of perception and the depth and all that, we can start to see the 3D, but really it starts at 2D, right? It's just like because we have the experience of walking around 3D, we can look at the screen and perceive, like me talking to you, I'm looking at you, I can perceive the 3D, even though it's only 2D. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's only 2D. Yeah,
shadow, but I can see the shadows and, you know, the nose and the face and all that, and because of familiarity, I can see and recognize it. What's going on when it comes to these cryptids and this kind of stuff and UFOs and aliens, all that, is that we don't.
You're not seeing that. You're not seeing it, Mike. You're not seeing it. When you look at me, what you're actually seeing is a digital image. It's not. It's not like a 35mm film. It's not a Super 8. It's a digital image. That's coming down from. I mean, you know, they call it satellites, but that's a digital image. So even that has been. I mean, there's compression. You have to think there's compression on this as well. So what we're seeing is not actually how it is, because the image itself has been compressed so that it makes it easier to send over the. I mean, it's radio waves initially, because it said no. Your Wi-Fi uses radio waves. It's a radio wave signal. So your phone is sending, or your computer is sending that image is taken through the camera, radio waves into the Wi-Fi. Then it gets digitized up, but it's compressed. It's not as it is. You know, I may not look like this if you saw me in real life.
But I'm sure I'm sure it's all distorted, just like the camera, just like digital camera or a normal. It's always distorted, right? It's not the same thing as what we see. Like a classic example, once again, is when we talk about the moon. When you're at night, you're looking at the moon with your naked eyes. It's much bigger, much closer. It looks much more. But then you take a picture. You take a picture of it with your camera, or you look through your phone. It's all just a small dot, right?
Yeah.
So it's perception, right? That's what it is, and that's part of it.
Yeah, but people have also done where you get a focal length. So you do. I think there's a video of a real this guy, and he done a focal length for I don't know, a couple of miles. I think it was, or 5 miles, and he got a big mother. Oh my god, really huge lens. It must have been a 600 or longer lens, and he had a focal point on something, a distant statue. He didn't move the focal length, and then he lifted it up towards the moon, didn't change the focus at all, and the moon was spot on, as if it was just as clear as anything. And yet that was with a focal length of 5 miles. Isn't that odd?
Yeah, but what about the size? See, the problem is, how do you compare that with what you're actually visually seeing with your two eyes? You know what I mean? The avatar that we're using and the two eyes that we're using, well, what we see with our eyes and what we see with the camera are two drastically different things, no matter what type of camera it is. It will never be. You can never reproduce it 100%. Never. Maybe someday. Maybe someday, maybe. But today we're not. We don't have the technology to do that.
I mean, really, the best way of reproducing any image, if you really want to get a decent image, is get a go back to film. I'll tell you why, because it is only sucking in light. There's no manipulation. It's not digitizing the image. That's why a lot of these ghost hunters and stuff, they start going around with a Polaroid 600 camera. You know, the ones that shoot out the picture, they vomit out a picture as soon as the button's pressed, because it kind of like there's no manipulation there. Just sucks in the light, whatever image is there, takes it in, prints it out. So really, I think whether digital images work or not, I mean, I use them all the while because it's just easier.
The digital image is still, it's just, but lighting is a big issue. I noticed, which I haven't done any this year because I've been so wrapped up with what's going on, trying to catch up with the rest of the world, what's going on.
Another thing, what we're talking about
last year when I was filming stuff in the middle of the day, it's like, with certain times of day with the lighting, I noticed lighting was a big, important thing. So with the positioning of the light, of the sun, an angle is, so we were 90 degrees. So, and there's 45 degrees. So somewhere between the 90 and the 45 degree angle, depending, and the sun being behind you will give you better results of filming things at the edge of the woods or in the woods. So the lighting and during the day influences what you can film. Of course, it's not guaranteed you're always going to film something because you got to be at the right place at the right time, that kind of stuff. But I think I got a lot of great images during the day filming stuff, but it had to be during the day. Cloudy days were not as good as days, especially like partially cloudy days seem to be the best results. Some of the lens refraction from how much is in the atmosphere as far as that kind of stuff, precipitation.
If it's very humid or there's like kind of water nearby, there's a waterfall, wherever, you get like water particles in the air, they refract light, and that plays up with the camera. But I mean,
because it does help. Because I mean, I need to. Everyone's probably seeing this one from. So like this, this is a perfect example.
Is that a face in that orb?
It's a face. Yes, bloody hell, you're absolutely right, chap. That's a fucking face.
Good capture. Good capture. Yeah.
So let's see. Solo, not that you want to see my butt, but this is in the daytime, and this is fall of 2022. And the lease has already started coming down, so it must have been November, October, November, that kind of time. Anyways, that's, you can see the face. This is an actual orb, and so you can see the face, but it's still
you got shadowing there as well. Yeah, you got shadowing on there as well. Yeah.
So it does help, and so it's knowing how to use a camera, and then the time of the day you can film orbs with stuff in it, or even film things that look like a Bigfoot if you can accept it. But most people are looking and waiting for this flesh and blood thing with hair that's running around like a monkey man or a human or a ape or whatever. And it's my experience, at least, has been that that's not how it works. You have to, and what you're saying is a big part of what it's going on here is that
I think so, because what happened when you had your experience, when you saw them go, what happened to them? Did they disappear? Did they just like kind of disappear into nothing? What happened?
It all depends on the circumstances. My first encounter with Bigfoot was I was standing next to a Crow Indian medicine man in a ravine and a cemetery in the middle of my town. But my town is like a suburbs on the edge where the country or farm fields is. So it's like, it was actually, if you just go a mile north where I filmed it, you would actually start being farm fields and that kind of stuff. So, and that's all it would be, farm fields. So, cornfields and ravines and all. There was a ravine there, and I had already seen the stuff. And actually, I've talked about it, and I gotta get back to write my book about it. The experience, because we saw two of them that day. Okay. And what happened was, I was seeing the shadowy beings at day, but it was right when it went dark. Both of us standing in the ravine when we saw two of them on the other side of the ravine. And it wasn't that far away. It could be more than 40 yards away, 30, 35 to 40 yards with max. I would say 30 yards away to feel comfortable about it. And two popped up on the other side of a tree that had fallen across the ravine. And then the next thing that happened is the one, because the Crow Indian medicine man, who went by the name Crow, decided to throw a piece of pizza at it after doing some hollers. And he wasn't the first time he said ever seen a Sasquatch, because he's seen it in California and Montana. And when we saw this is in Ohio. And the next thing to know, that massive entity that looked like a Bigfoot went right through the tree, and we didn't hear a leaf move or a branch break, anything. It had to go. If it jumped over or moved around the tree, it didn't make a frickin' sound, and it's impossible because of the size of it not to make a sound. Or it went through the tree, and which, how did that happen? The next thing you know, it was 15 feet in front of us, crawling up a ravine. So that's my first experience. And so, what was amazing about it, because you bring up a static electricity in the first paragraph, and what this entity that's crawling up, it was massive, and everything that people describe what a Bigfoot would look like crawling up a ravine. But this, it shimmered like it had energy running through it, like electricity.
The filaments. I think it's the filaments forming. That's why a lot of times, if you're in the middle of a forest or wood, it's so hard. You imagine a video game, right? And you're programming in for a video game. You've got templates that you can use when you're programming. But 9 times out of 10, anywhere where it's like you've got Call of Duty and you're in the middle of a jungle, it's going to be harder to to create that scene than it is going to be create a sniper shooting out the window in a high rise down on the street. It's the filament that it's harder for the filaments to actually fit together. That's why we notice more out there, because they're not fitting together sometimes properly, and these things can come through. I wondered for so long, why do these things seem to morph out? Why do they just morph out? You get footsteps, then they stop and disappear. Why? Why
You know, the thing that the Bigfoot community has been pushing on people, because we're parrots. Everyone's guilty to this, and until you accept the fact that it's how dangerous parroting what everybody else says, and go figure out what's really going on, at least for you and your experience, and stop listening to the experts, there's the booksellers and all that kind of stuff, is that, you know, because they don't say it's cloaking, but I don't see the cloaking happening. I
on
see
one video you do. I put that video up that I've got. I gave you a video.
Well, but is it cloaking or is it manifesting? Is it material?
No, yes, that's it. It's actually
like,
dematerializing. It's dematerializing.
Like, go back to Star Trek, right? And beaming up Scotty, right? And it's the whole idea is materializing.
I thought you're closer to the truth than you think. Look at our mobile phones.
Yeah.
Communicators. Yeah, exactly the same. Gene Roddenberry was so before his time. You know, beam me up, Scotty, communicator. You know, I
think it's what these things, whether they're intentionally doing it or not, who knows? But that seems to be very similar in nature and behavior.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
It's the filaments.
If it's simply just cloaking these big things, right? These massive, and we're talking massive. I mean, we're talking 7, 8, 10, 12, whatever feet tall beings that we call Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Dogman, and all that, and they barely make a sound. Most times you don't even hear them making any sound. A lot of times you hear a sound, you hear the walking, but you don't see jack squat.
A lot of times you hear like metallic sounds, doors opening. So imagine ultra thin filaments, like almost like glass fluorescent tubes going together, and they're sometimes not going together correctly. They're not fitting together to form where we are. This frame that we live in, that we're moving along at a certain rate of speed. And these things that are coming in that you saw is moving along at a certain rate of speed, which is different to ours.
So these glass filaments, like tubes, these that you're talking about, think of trees, because either strong association with these things, the trees, the branches, vegetation, the ground, trees. If you think there's the rings within rings, but also there's like, it's almost like filaments. Like we know that trees are emitting energy, electricity. You can run a battery or run a light bulb on it.
Oh my God, trees are more exciting than that. Trees talk to each other through their root system. When you chop a tree down.
So let me ask you this. Is it the trees that are talking to each other, or is there something that's inside the trees that's talking to each other? Because this goes back to the tree knocking, because it's nothing that, you know, this with the, if we're honest about the field research and all that, because you hear over and over again, for the first you start doing this journey, going down this journey and investigating about or learning about Bigfoot, and you hear about tree knocking, and then you discover you don't know anybody who's actually seen a Bigfoot actually whack on that tree. You've never, I mean, you might know somebody, maybe some claims that, but I don't know who that person is. I've never met a person who said and looked me straight in the eye and said, yep, I saw a Bigfoot take a branch or a log and whack on that tree. But they heard a popping, right, sound. It sounded like something was, and they just automatically assumed it was something whacking, you know, instead of, you know, maybe it's popping or it's energetic force. It's like electricity when in this, you know, something. What's a good, I don't know, a good example would be, but, you know, for say a rod emits a bit of static electricity or energy, you can get a popping sound, right?
Yeah, yeah, you do. Yeah, no, that's right, you do. Oh, there's some work. There's some work where they're doing at the moment a propulsion system using static electricity. It's working very well. It's a propulsion engine just using the static electric. I have to dig it out. I'll send it to you when I dig it out. I will remember. Yeah, even
And
though I'm old and knackered, I still remember certain things.
and there's a way of propulsion through static electricity and emitting static discharge that will, if the object is emitting the static discharge because it's pushed against something, it has to be pushed against something, but you could be pushing against the ether or the density of the air or a tree or whatever. So when that static electricity, boom, shoots out. If what shoots out, could it possibly? There
has to be some movement. I mean, like when lightning hits, it will naturally go towards a motion. No, lightning will hit like a tree, but also it will hit like volcanoes. Fantastic photos, videos, and stuff where people have seen lightning on the top of a volcano, and it's just like bang, and the most beautiful light show ever.
And what else do they see there?
UFOs, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not only just UFOs, what else are they reports of? Things that look like Bigfoot.
Giants as well.
Giants. And how many times are they being misinterpreted or because, part of the problem is, and I don't think it's nefarious, it's just misinformation. All of us are suffering from misinformation, disinformation, or always trying to manage it.
Yeah.
So you have a million pictures, and thanks to AI now, we'll never be able to escape from it. Although AI will probably give us a more legit image, probably of what a Sasquatch actually looks like than the average artist, if you actually look at what Bigfoot actually really looked like, they don't look like Harry the Henderson. They're not really, this big screaming smile saying, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you." They're a bit scary at times, and they change and morph, and they're rather disturbing at times looking. And they're not like the best as far as making like dolls and people like things a little softer and a little more cuddlier and a little more, and that's not what Sasquatch is. It's not soft and cuddly. So what I mean by that is it's not like like a doll. What's it?
Can I go to my friend Jonah's in a bit? I got time.
Sure.
All right, cool. I'm also gonna take.
If you're hungry,
I'm gonna take a shower too. If that's all right.
yeah. Can you have to wait because we're doing a show right now. If you're hungry, make yourself a bagel. No, I don't want you to take a shower right now. Just wash your face off or something. He's hot. He's been wearing his mic on. So, anyways, what's that now? So this whole thing is, the looks. What do you do when you film something that looks like a Bigfoot, but it also looks like he's wearing frickin' glasses or goggles?
Well, that's where AI is good from the point of view of AI as double-sided coin. It's great at finding sequences. Yeah, that's why they use it in X-rays now. Whenever you get an X-ray, X-ray won't be seen by a human being. It'll be processed by AI because it's great at seeing sequences. It can recognize as very, very good and accurate in finding a correlation between two similars. Yeah, but the other side of the coin is, who the hell is going to believe any photograph or video evidence anyone takes now with AI? Because the quality of the AI that can be used is so good. You know, we can have an actual shot. You can take a shot of Bigfoot. You can take a shot of Bigfoot outside your window now, but I wouldn't believe you. Could I go out and say hi?
So you have a good point there, and we might just be this short window of time. This is what I gave up because no one was listening. And please do what I'm trying to do, what I'm suggesting to do. But in 5-10 years, like you said, the image behind me, when AI figures out, they're going to do even a better job of it. And if you look closely, what's behind me, there's things that look like shadow beings and Bigfoot and all that. And of course, even better images. This is like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy that's been expanded and blown up and this, that, and everything else. So, but the original image is much better. So what's going to happen in 10 years? Will people be led to this another path of misinformation?
No, what the question to ask is, what proof would have to be now with our technology? What proof would have to be required to prove this thing that we know exists? And
there's more than just one thing, though, too. So there's more than just a Bigfoot or a Dogman.
Oh yeah, it's the rakes, all it's nonstop. We're reaching a crisis point, I believe, in the quantity and the amount. And if people go poo-pooing, oh no, it's not. Well, listen, the amount of people who are credible witnesses, they're not liars. They're not all liars.
There's no benefit. It seems like the people who are lying make the money, and the people who are telling the truth get shitted on. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
If you want to make money and get a following, just keep on lying like the rest of them. But if you want to be honest and tell the truth, then
honest doesn't pay. Honest don't pay.
Well, this is part of the shit show. But this is the thing about integrity, and this is about do you value honesty? Do you truly value honesty? Because are you willing to suffer the arrows and the insults and the rejection? Because as the old saying goes, truth is a lonely warrior, and it's always going to be that way.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why, kind of I had so many kind of things going on in my life right from an early age. And I found myself in a position where I thought, I really got to know. I've got to know. I've got to know what the hell it is that was in my bedroom at night. As black mass that was in my bedroom and raised up and looked like a person and had me pinned to a bed that I couldn't move, and I pissed myself.
And the question is how close is that person then that happened, that experience in your bedroom, that shadow being, to what's the relationship? What's the correlation? What's
exactly there
that
was no
and Sasquatch or Bigfoot?
It goes on. Because it's all different. This thing is part of the same. I think it's got the same origin, and the origin being they're like carbon deposits from another waterfall at a different rate. I'm sure of it. I've seen Dogman. I've been close to an entity. Like I've had it in my ear where they've actually spoken to me. It's robotic sounding deep voice saying, Phil, go, leave now. And just after that, I saw this werewolf type creature morph out. And I understand what people think when they listen to this. They're going to think, what the hell? Seriously? But no,
you're not the first person to say that. So then why does these entities say leave? Why do they seem to be so eager to get us to leave?
No, I think because, as I said, that was before I saw this other quadrupedal dog wolf thing morphing out. And I think it's protecting me. I think it's telling me, leave, go, get the hell out.
What is it protecting you from?
The werewolf thing. No. Werewolf I think whoever was speaking to me.
Something else with the werewolf? I mean, the only thing that we saw was. I'm not discrediting what you're saying. What I'm trying to say.
No.
That's the question.
Oh no, we all want the truth. I've
had experiences, and I'm starting to see that there's more going on that even meets our own eyes, our own cameras. You see that, you see the werewolf. I filmed or see something that looks like Bigfoot, but was it a Bigfoot? Was it a single entity? As crazy as this sounds, what if it was multiple packets of energy that formed, it created to the best of their ability?
There we go. Yes, you're right. You're bang on. It is. It can be. It depends on the filaments and your perception. It depends on your perception of the way the filaments are forming in a very dense area where it's hard for them to fill it. And it's also like the double slit experiment. You know, the experiment, the result of the experiment is dependent on the viewer viewing the result for it to form. So, like with another thing, definition, dogman, werewolf, they're two different things. People automatically think, oh, werewolf, Lon Chaney, time to a chair, it's a full moon, and he's going to be there. You got to lock me up because I'll turn. No, totally different. Dogman, werewolf, totally different species, but they are two different, if you like, entities.
Well, then we have to deal with the fact that there's werewolves. What's the other thing? There's dogmen. There's something. What's the other one? I can't think about this. There's something else as well. My brains. I haven't been thinking about this. I've been thinking about Gaza for forever. So this is a break for me, and I'm looking for. This is like nice.
Well, I said that, didn't I? I said it'll be kind of. It's like kind of, you know, it's like kind of your brain having like it's almost like you've had a dose of diarrhea from that Gaza, and your brain's like kind of diarrheaing out all that information and giving it a rest.
Evil. I mean, it's just like this part of the shit show is this intensity of the evil, and it's just like I need a break. Anyways, so back to this thing about dogmen and werewolves, and then there's all the different subspecies of those two werewolves.
What you saw was a thing.
So you have what's that?
What you saw would be dependent on the way the filaments are forming together to form the trees, the branches, the leaves, that entity which formed into a Bigfoot, but it was dependent on you viewing it for some reason that it formed into that creature.
And it has to be the right angle, right location, right positioning for it to present itself to you the way that either it thinks you want it to see or that it wants you to see it. But here's another thing too. But then you just think of that just like a dot, and that dot represents a dogman. But then there's the circle around the dot, and the millions of dots that are in it, right? And each one of those dots was a different example of what a dogman could be. So my point being is that these things are not exactly like if you see a squirrel, a red squirrel, and you see a dozen red squirrels, unless one's missing a tail or whatever, for the most part, they all look exactly the same, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, you say a bunch of 24 red squirrels are all born in the same day, and you get them a few weeks later, they're all going to look the same, right? They all look like a red squirrel, right? Unless you really look carefully to the differences. And then if you train your eyes, and you could be like human beings, and you can see the physical difference of you. But just like us, our facial features, our body features, everyone looks different as a human being. Some look more similar. Some look like doppelgangers, or that's a weird word. But regardless, we all look different, right? And I think what's going on here too with these things that we call dogmen and Bigfoot and werewolves, there's not just one set standard look, if you will. In other words, you could have a pack or a whatever it is. What am I thinking?
Yeah, I definitely like that. Family.
lose my brain. Anyways, what is the word? Not pride, not pack, not pod. Anyways, clan, is that what it is? Of say a clan of dogmen, right? And you could have like 24 of them, right? And you film them or see something or just have some kind of experience. I've seen things and heard other people as well, and they all look different within that clan. So that dogman one could look more almost human-like and apish-like, and the other one could look more dog-like. And we've all heard this, right? So there's something going on here there's an inconsistency that doesn't fit the physical models that have been presented to us by the gazillion, if you will, where there are different types and species of animals in the flesh. So why are these things all looking different? And I also noticed that a lot of people have a hard time accepting it, just like I did for a while myself, that they all look so drastically different, and until you come to terms with them, because it doesn't fit the patterns that we've been exposed to in the physical 2D.
I took my dogs for a walk to the vets just down the road here, and I was taking them down the road, and I went to get them a checkup and a jab, I think it was, something or other. Anyway, walking along the road, and I saw this guy wearing shorts, and he was holding a bag, very distinctive looking bag, almost like an out of place, old fashioned leather satchel type bag. Yeah, document bag. Okay, so he was walking along. Didn't really take much notice of him, but I noticed that he was wearing shorts, which seemed a bit sort of odd because it wasn't particularly warm that day, and he had a t-shirt and a jacket on as well. Okay, now he would walk past me, and I went walking on. Then another guy passed me a little while later. He had the same jacket, the same t-shirt, the same bag. When I looked back, he wasn't far away from the first guy, and they had the same gait. They had the same steps. When you look back at them, they were timed. Their steps were timed, as if he was a duplicate. And that's true.
So there's always these things that are happening. So you talking about in the next a few paragraphs down, you're talking about the empatry. I can't say anything.
Entropy.
I can't say a damn thing today for some reason. Entropy. Yeah. I still can't say it. Entropy.
Second rule of thermodynamics.
I know what it is. Yeah. I just can't say it. Entropy causes a decloaking effect, and carbon forms manifested and had formed, but also bounced and jumped around and streamed a flow within the engine. First of all, would this apply to a Bigfoot or a Dogman, or to an orb, or to a?
As long as it's a most carbon-based, not always carbon-based, but most carbon-based entities will be able to jump flows, jump across.
Now these things,
not at will, by accident, not at will. We don't see these things because they're just going to turn up on it. No. They just accidentally, boom, they come across.
Right, but the thing is, you talk about carbon, and many times these things, whether day or night, are blacker than black, for lack of a better way of saying it. So it's the blackness of night, say no moon out, whatever, no city lights and anything, and you end up seeing one of these things in the woods or the edge of the woods. And as if I've seen it, and other people report the same thing, it's blacker than black. Now, for some reason, logically, I'm thinking carbon forms. carbon form manifested.
Yeah.
Carbon, and you think of burnt wood or coal, it doesn't get much blacker than that, does it?
Why did I write that? No, the whole thing. That's what I can't get as well. I just woke up at 2 o'clock and I had this compulsion to write that out. And it wasn't until I read it afterwards I thought, what the hell have I written? It took me 10 minutes to write that.
So, just like, and many times these things are described like they move like smoke, like a cloud,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
which is very interesting because when you think about that, and if they could materialize and hold their form in some kind of carbon-based form where they can appear in a very solid form to you, but because then you and I aren't touching them, we're not giving him a bear hug, we're not shaking his hand, we're not putting our hand through these things. Although there's been reports of people who have interacted with aliens that they have done such things as put their arms or hands through aliens, or they've touched aliens and they felt like they're marshmallows, that kind of stuff. What's up, Mike? How's it going, man?
Hey, Mike.
He was talking about maybe, I asked him if he would join us today, but he's working, so he'd share his research, what's going on in the woods. So here's the thing. So this carbon-based form of life form, right? Like a smoke from a chimney stack or smoke from a fire, but it's got a more energetic power or energy. It has some ability to hold a form long enough to make it look like it's got hair and it's got a three-dimensional body and it's moving. But then we also got to have to deal with another element of this. How does that same thing, although we've got images and videos of what look like Bigfoot pole vaulting trees, not much, just one or two things, one of a rock, but that pole vaulting tree could also be part of the carbon-based three-dimensional projection. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. It'd be very rare on the flow stream. Think of it as a flow stream, like a waterfall. We just see that one section of waterfall coming down at any one time. We're living in that flow stream, that frame. We can't go, and these entities, why we probably can't see the same one twice, is because they can't travel. This is only a theory, okay? But they can't travel backwards. We can't travel, but possible we can move from one to the other flow stream, but they basically get bounced off by accident. But they can't travel back through our time frame because of entropy. Because of entropy, if we were to theoretically go back in time, what would we go back to? Because the tree we knew would have rotted away and died. Everything degrades, rot, goes down to nothing. Everything dissipates, disappears. The reality that we know, the filaments that we know, once we've seen and witnessed them, then reform into new reality that we will witness, that we kind of like put life to, if you like a video game. You walk through a room and in a video game, and it doesn't form because it takes too much computing power to form the whole game at any one time. The streets, the houses, the park, everything. So what they do to save on memory space and computing power, they just morph in that which is needed by your character or avatar at that one time in the game. He will then see your character see that room as he walks into the room, but he won't see that the corridor beyond the room doesn't exist until he goes through it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
We're
there's
much the same.
multiple like liminal spaces, but here's the thing. So the entity, the being, Sasquatch, could be a man in a hat, whatever, the tall man in a hat, whatever you want to call it. There's a million things. Whatever it may be, just think of whatever. You can look at the images behind me. And it's like you'll hear numerous times that it almost seems like there's static electricity running in the air. There's almost like a blob running in the air, like a plasma thing going on, and that all life form, the trees, everything just stands still. No more sound of crickets and all that. And you see, I don't think so. Like, if it was an ape or it was a moose or bear that was walking through the woods, the crickets would still be chirping, and the birds would still be chirping. You know what I mean? They might fly away if they see if there's an eagle or a hawk or a predator is going to eat them, but they're still going to, for the most part, everything's going to still move around and do their thing. But when these things show up, everything stands still. And then it's going back to this whole thing we were talking about, where all that energy in that one area is refocused into a specific point in order for the carbon-based form manifestation. I don't know. There's got maybe I don't know what the best way is. I'm trying to use what you're saying here.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of carbon, thinking of smoke. I'm thinking, say, once again, the smoke from a fire that somehow is consolidated, condensed to form the shape. And if it's dense enough, it can even make it sound like it's making footprints. And if it gets even denser, at times can even create footprints or make signs of it. Because then we have to deal with the whole thing about the tree structures that no one's ever seen anything make. So if in that area, that block, that space, that blob, where everything stopped and is condensed like a black hole, kind of like what you say, or like like an engine.
Yeah,
that you talk about describes an engine. So that within that engine, wherever there's, it's like within, it's all becomes, it's just that one spot, that one place, because everything's positioned right, all the different elements are proper to cause the manifestation to happen. Whether it looks like a Bigfoot, or a ghost, or a dogman, or a UFO. And it's basically what it is.
Even a portal. Mike at MT Paranormal, on one of his videos, a recent one, he got a really good result. And I think he's 100% right. He got a portal, and basically it was generating a lot of heat. And I 100% agree that was sometimes you get it, Mike, where it's like a breakdown. It's a very complicated thing to mimic and to make a dense carbon area like a forest, and it does break down. The filaments don't quite click together, and when that happens,
where's one of the largest sources of carbon on Earth? Forests, trees. Right?
Yeah, right.
The largest concentration of carbon is a forest. The edge of it's a tree, trees. Whether it's the tree itself, and what does the tree need in order to even exist, to produce oxygen?
I was talking to a woman, who, because I said to her, she looked at some of the structures, and a lot of the structures you get these X's and a star-shaped pattern. And she was on TikTok, and she is closely affiliated with one of these Bigfoot packs, in Australia. her and her friend. They're both closely affiliated. They kind of visit them and talk to them, and and who am I? I'm not going to say no, she doesn't. I'm just going to say take people as they are. Yeah, she does, and that's it. Because until disproven, I'm just going to take what people tell me as being okay. Yep, you do, because everything and anything can be possible at this present stage.
That's right. And all the laws of all the known laws of physics seem at this point they don't correlate. They don't correspond. So there's, somebody could literally. This is really bizarre. Okay, because there's all sorts of things, right? So some people are crazy, some people are not. Somebody are actually having a real encounter, but that encounter, no one else, maybe one or two people ever even get the privilege or even have to experience it. But for the most part, you wouldn't even know that person's even having that encounter because you have not been chosen, you haven't been tapped into. You have not. It's not been your story. It's their story, and you're not part of the story. Therefore, you aren't going to have the right to have the experience. No, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's just the laws of whatever. Because we're just trying to figure this out. But so somebody could actually be communicating with a clan of Bigfoot or Dogmen. And on a regular basis, as you said, you heard something speak in your ear. Well, I'm sure no one else heard that. And I've had an encounter where me and my neighbor heard one. We both heard it. So we had two people hear something at the same time, and we heard the chatter and all that. And other times I've heard things and no one else heard it. Or no one else, 99. Actually, to be honest with you, like 95 to 99% of the time, I'm always by myself when these things happen. Although I've had, a handful, maybe two handfuls, maybe, in two hands, I've had experiences jointly with somebody else out in the field. With the rest of the time, it's just been me.
Isn't that odd?
So, yeah.
That's odd.
Right. But be careful. Be careful and be home. Be home by like 6:30. I'll cook you a hamburger.
I'm gonna ask if I can have a sleepover with that.
Yeah, sleepover. We'll go shopping for some food. If not, I'm gonna do tomorrow. Anyways, sorry about that. It's my son.
Okay,
so you see, I calculated a formula to figure out how many volts potential energy were in carbon atoms of 100-foot average oak tree. Just the carbon atoms they put off over 16,000. Is that what it's meant to be, or 106 volts?
16,000. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, there's an immense amount of energy is being produced off these trees, and whether from the moment within the seed to the moment the seed. The shell cracks and starts shooting roots and branches and stalk. It's energy.
Mike, with these structures, all right, and with these Ys and these X's that we see, a lot of times we also see in the forest, and I believe that these orbs, these static electricity orbs, come from these structures. They're generated by these structures. Why? I'm not sure, but they are. I've seen a black one.
Also, is that these structures that you're talking about? There's always other trees, live trees around it, so it's a combination of things, right? It's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Usually trees, live tree. Usually there's live trees around where the tree structures are, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a combination of things. So even the dead tree somehow houses enough energy. We know that by simply we could turn it to coal or fire. I mean, you know what I mean? So it says the potential energy just in a branch is immense.
Yeah. And I think these structures kind of they're these X's and these Y's concentrate the energy so that the orbs come out. And they're often seen, these orbs are by cryptids, by Bigfoot. The amount of times that I've listened to podcasts and where people witnessed it.
You see what Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says? It's just talking to Mike. MT, a white oak is
genitive
energy, and the popular is positive. It's probably negative, negative energy and popular. And a poplar tree is positive energy. This is interesting. If you lay by a white oak, it pulls out the negative energy in your body. You're on to something. Well, here she's got a point. I mean, there's something to look into. Is the type of positive, negative charges and energy that comes out of different types of trees, and oak trees strong. I know I've at least had that experience, and I've heard numerous other people that either like large maple trees or oak trees is where you'll end up seeing or having the encounter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think so as well. Definitely, yeah, with oak trees. And also, I've often seen like the large X's. They use silver birches for some reason. Why, I don't know, but they're like kind of like we'll pull up silver birch and put those as an X.
Well, maybe he's right. It has something to do with the type of charge and energy is coming out of it.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you've done it. I know Mike's done it. Several people have actually, used different type of meters to see what kind of energy, see if they kind of reading. So.
Yeah, I take a tricorder out with me, and that gives me the radio. If there's any radio frequencies like EMF as well, and also electric fluctuations. So
Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot. Although you say you're just kind of guessing. Hey, it's the speculating and allowing each other to speculate to think outside the box is going to lead us to the right direction. So, it's when you get the dogmatism or you get dogmatic about things, based on the parroting of other information from people where there's a high probability that it's misinformation or possibly even disinformation. And so it's always questioning things, right? And ask questions.
It's just bloody frustrating because I know I've seen stuff out there. You've seen stuff out there. Most of the people listening to this show have seen stuff out there. But it's frustrating, so frustrating, Mike, because it's you can't grasp it. You can't get to the origin. Don't know, and that's the frustrating part. You can't get to why, where, and how. You can't just get those together. And I'm really trying. I can't just. The theory I come up with is a theory.
Well, we're getting there closer. The thing is, it's like, I know for me, I got to take breaks. Like, I wouldn't even be thinking this way if I didn't take like a couple month break or just not even think about, because you get these psychological walls, proverbial walls. You just can't trespass. You can't get past it because the information is not coming out. But just having the brainstorming here, I'm sure we're just a little bit closer to the truth. You bringing up the carbon, the whole just basically what you said there. I mean, you being much more. What's the word? You weren't trying to. It's not a scientific paper. You're just free flowing, right? Just expressing.
Yeah, basically. I just came up with it. It's like Zeno's arrow. Yeah, Zeno's arrow, which like if you fire, what it was, he fired if hypothetically fired an arrow through the air. We're in a series of start-stops ourselves all the while because of our timeline. So basically, with Zeno's arrow, if you were to photograph, video it, or film it, the arrow can't be in two places at once. It always has to be in one place, only one place, along its trajectory. So because it can't be in two places at once, that arrow is in a series of starts and stops. So if you film it, and every frame will be a different central position in that trajectory of that arrow, because it's starting and stopping. It's never a full linear motion. And we're much the same. It's like when people say, oh, well, isn't it weird that you can't remember when you're born? No, you can't. You can't remember when, you don't know when you don't know what it's going to be when you die, and you can't remember when you were born, because we're kind of like in this, no more than a kid can envisage being our age, no more than we can envisage being 90, because we're in a series of start-stops, because we're in that time, that frame of existence at any one time. And it might be individual to us, like an ant will look at us, drive past in a car, drive past an ant. It has no idea, no comprehension at all what that big thing with wheels is going past. It doesn't even know it's there. Has no idea it's even there. It's too big. It can't comprehend it. Maybe that's part of the reason, because it's something when we see these beings, these entities, that we only just glimpse them when the system breaks down. When it breaks down, it allows us to glimpse them, but it has to break down before we actually see them.
So, hey, listen, Phil, if you want to carry on a little bit longer, I need to take a break because I got to pee.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll tell you, if you want to, do you mind if we wrap up? Because I've got to get to work early in the morning. It's 10 o'clock GMT here now.
Yeah,
is it okay if we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we talked about a few things, stretched the limit, thought outside the box, and that's anybody that hears this. And if we rethink about what we've talked about and re-listen, I think it might help us in our direction, or at least our journey, inquiry. There's.
Sorry, Mike. It's only just got because I've got to go to Bristol, I think, tomorrow, and I've got an early start. So it's like kind of if I
get yourself some sleep, you old man. It's 10 o'clock.
No, get my cocoa. Before we go though, being that your DNA is so sort of like British, you got to say "Cool, blimey, Mary Poppins" in a convincing voice.
Cool, I can't do it, man. I got marbles in my mouth.
It's in your DNA.
I know it says it in your DNA, even. I'm like,
"Cool, blimey, Mary Poppins." Yeah.
Bloody hell, chopping hell, matey. Top of the morning, how you doing, Flower the Forest? What'd you call me?
Yeah, that's Cockney. Yeah. God, hey, blimey, apples and pears.
Royal blood in me, man. What are y'all talking about? Come on. I can't remember all the accents. I mean, what does Nottingham's accent sound like? Is it kind of bland? I can't remember now. Anyways, Phil. Good. Thanks for being a good sport and enjoying the journey.
Always been.
We'll talk soon. Dogman Teepee hunting. And I'm gonna play off this thing if you want to listen. But we're done talking, and it's nukes, and it's about what Scott has to say. The hell is his name again? Anyway,
thanks for having us on again, Mike.
What the hell's his name? Hold on a second, man.
What are you up to now?
Scott Ripper or Tripper or what the hell is the name?
Is this going to be a music, or is it going to be?
No, this is about this the featured Doomsday You know what's going on in your neck of the woods is about starting World War III and what is Scott Ritter. Anyway, Scott Ritter, he was famous as the one that was the bust. He busted.
Well, I've got to go Bristol tomorrow. They can't start World War III. We have to put it off for a little while.
So I'm just gonna play this off. So, anyways, you take care, man. We'll talk. This way.
Yeah. No worries, man. It's been good.
Yes, it was, bro. You take care, and here we go.
Bye-bye.
Do you think Russia would attack Berlin, Paris, London?
Russia has said they will attack Berlin, Paris, London, Brussels. Russia will attack the decision-making centers associated with any attack against Russia that Russia deems to represent an existential threat. Let's get back to the ATACMS. The ATACMS system uses a guidance system, a GPS guidance system backed by an inertial guidance system that requires specific information to be loaded into the system. That can only be done by an American. I'll just repeat that one more time. That can only be done by an American.
Got to be top secret, whatever it is.
And now it's not just, now we get to the next part. That information will be transmitted from collection platforms, overhead satellites, drones, other ground and air breathing intelligence collection resources. They collect data. That data goes to a center inside Poland or in Germany, where that data is collated and then used to create a target, model of data against a specific target. What target's going to be attacked, how they're going to attack it, with what, from where. That data that is put together into a target package, which is transmitted again using top secret, communications channels that the Ukrainians don't have access to. So we have somebody on the ground in Ukraine receiving this package from somebody who planned it outside of Ukraine, and then they will put it into the missile, and then the Ukrainians do the last part, which is to push the button and launch it. But every other aspect was done by American hands, and the Russians know this. And so wherever in Europe this planning is taking place, this collation of intelligence data, this communication of targeting data, these are now legitimate targets that Russia will take out, either conventionally or, if required, using nuclear weapons. And if the Germans are party to this, Macron needs to understand if the Ukrainians use the French-provided Scout missiles, the same thing applies. The targeting data that goes inside can only be put in place by a French actor. There's the missile I used to inspect, and that is a game changer. If that's ever used in anger, we will lose 1 to 3 American cities.
Do the Russians have missile capability that we cannot intercept or neutralize?
Yes, pretty much every modern Russian missile is designed to evade American and NATO missile defense. On the strategic level, they have hypersonic missiles. They have maneuvering hypersonic warheads. They have similar capabilities at the tactical and what's called intermediate level. We can't defend against this. And the bottom line is, if the Russians launch the missiles, those missiles will hit the targets they're aimed at. And if those targets, if those missiles have nuclear weapons, those nuclear weapons will detonate where they're supposed to. And this will be devastating. It will be the end of Europe at a minimum, and potentially the end of the United States and the end of Russia and the end of the world.
To Biden, Blinken, Sullivan, Austin, etc., President, the Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of Defense, understand the gravity of this moment as you've explained it? Or are they just propagandists?
You know, I used to have a friend named William Polk, and I say used to because tragically he passed away a couple years ago. But William Polk was a man who was in the inner circle for John F. Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And he talks about, and he's talked to me many times about, the decision-making that was going on and the role that Kennedy played in preventing a nuclear war, the maturity Kennedy had as a leader. Part of that maturity came from when Kennedy was first briefed on what was then called the Single Integrated Operation Plan, the PSYOP, the American war plan. He went to the Pentagon and they briefed him. They said, this is, if we go to nuclear war, this is what we got. And basically, it was premised on the notion that America will be the largest surviving civilization, but in order to guarantee that, we have to kill everybody in the world. And he came out and said, that's insane. I'm not doing that. And he turned to his advisor and said, and we call ourselves the human race. And he said, you have to give me options. Every president since then, or up until George W. Bush, reacted the same way. When they first got that briefing on how America plans to go to war, which is to destroy the entire world so that when the 20 to 30% of America that survives will be the largest remaining civilization cluster in the world, guaranteeing American global dominance in a post-nuclear conflict. Insanity. They all said the same thing. Insane. Give me options. I can't go to that. You can't make me do this. You have to give me options. And the Pentagon always gave them options that inevitably led to that. Since the end of the Soviet Union, the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Americans have downplayed their nuclear war plan. We detargeted our missiles. Nothing was automatic anymore. We were heading in a path of, getting rid of nuclear weapons. And then George W. Bush came in a post 9/11 environment and said, we will use our nuclear weapons to ensure that a 9/11 never happens again. And we reinserted nuclear war planning into our military doctrine. And today we have that same mindset, that same nuclear war strategy without the maturity of John F. Kennedy. We have people who look at the plan and say, well, that's just a plan. We're not really going to do that. And they say the Russians are bluffing. We don't have to worry about this. The problem is, the second something happens and that plan is pulled out, the dust is blushed off, and we start pushing buttons, we go to the scenario that John F. Kennedy said was insanity. Judge, we're going to blow up the entire world because we know that in a post-nuclear environment, we can't allow, for instance, India to survive intact because we're going to be reduced to 30% of our capacity. We can't allow India to have a superior civilization in a post-nuclear conflict. We're going to destroy the entire world. That's what the American nuclear war plan is. And the American people need to wake up and understand it's on full automatic. Full automatic.
You see why the state, almost said CIA, but I see why the State Department's afraid of you, because you speak the truth, because you give an understanding that the government doesn't want people to have. And
There's something to think about. You guys have a great day.